Seemingly, no matter how many times I say nice and slow, red light, green light tempo, if I say red light, you have to stop within this far of where I say red light or you die. And people say, oh yeah, totally, I got it, nice and slow. Then the next time they come in for a workout, I see them getting on the leg extension and just going, back and forth, back and forth. So I'm going to tell you why in this video I want you to use that very nice and slow, controlled red light, green light tempo. One of the primary reasons we want to use that red light, green light tempo, nice and slow, is because we do not want the inertia of the weights moving up and down to be allowing us to perform that movement. The entire point of strength training is to make the muscles do the work, not the inertia do the work. If you have 10 pounds in a dumbbell in your hand right here, and you curl it like this, that 10 pounds will elicit, 40, 50 pounds of resistance possibly at the beginning of the motion because you're trying to accelerate an item that's at rest. And then it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 all the way through with no stimulus to the muscle in question. And then at the end of the motion, it actually becomes assistance instead of resistance because you have to stop it from moving with actually the muscles on the opposite side of the ones that you're trying to work. So unless you're using that very nice and slow tempo, if you're accelerating things, you're not actually resisting yourself through the whole motion. You're getting exponentially more resistance at the beginning of the motion, and then you're getting basically nothing through the rest of it, so there's no point in even moving there before you have to actually stop it at the top with the opposite side of the muscles, or the muscles on the opposite side of that joint, and then you drop it, and it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 50. Bang, and that's going to be most likely to influence your joints in a negative way if you're catching stuff at the bottom and tossing it. Or in a leg extension, if you're coming down and tossing it up, it's going to be a bunch of resistance here, nothing all the way through, and then it's going to slam you into extension of your knee with little to no control and no ability to feel the right muscles working. And on the topic of feeling the right muscles, if you're moving fast, you can't pay attention to what you're using. You're just going back and forth and A to B and what's over there, what's over here, oh, 3 more, as opposed to, am I contracting my obliques to twist my rib cage on top of my pelvis, or am I just bouncing back and forth? So the faster you move, the less able you are to do all of the other execution essentials like focusing on contraction. Am I moving in the right path of motion? Is my intention right? Am I pushing in the right directions? Am I contracting and using my muscles inside of my body to move my body? Or am I just going back and forth a bunch of times? And one of the most difficult things is as soon as you stop thinking about going nice and slow and contracting all of the right muscles and all that fun jazz, your body will find the easiest possible way to move this thing from A to B. And one of the primary ways that it makes it easier is, you guessed it, by moving it faster. So you have resistance here, nothing here, little bit of resistance here, nothing here, resistance here. That makes it easier. That gives the muscles a break. And the entire point of strength training is to challenge the muscles to do something that it is hard for them to do. So you'll probably notice, especially on later reps across the course of a set, that as you're starting to get tired, you've been doing this nice, slow, controlled tempo. You're really starting to feel that burn. You're going back down nice and slow, keeping those muscles under tension, contracting them the whole time. And then because you said you're going to get 2 more, you start going, to get those last couple. Those reps don't even count, in my opinion. And the entire point of all of the reps before the last couple was to make the last couple really hard and to stay directly underneath the fucking challenge that we are trying to present to your muscles, not to make it kind of hard because you're focusing on the right stuff, and then when the going gets tough, you fucking bail. That's not what we're here for. And yet another reason that we need to move slow on these machines is because a lot of these machines are designed to be more biomechanically accurate in terms of your body's capacity to move resistance in different positions. I won't get too far into the weeds on this, but we have what's called a strength profile, which is how much tension your muscles can generate to move your bones in different positions. If I'm all the way out here and I'm trying to push my arm this way, I'll be probably about twice as good at moving resistance in terms of I can move more weight there as I could if I'm trying to push weight this way in this position due to what's called our strength profile. We have varying abilities to generate force across different parts of the motion. So a good machine, most of the time, is designed with what's called a resistance profile. Now what a resistance profile is when you put 55 pounds on the weight stack, newsflash, spoiler alert, you're not moving 55 pounds the whole time. That just happens to be how we keep track of how much weight is on there, which is why a lot of my machines don't even have numbers on them. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the plate number so you can keep track of it. But the weight on the weight stack is multiplied and divided by and all this math nonsense by all of the different mechanics on the inside of the machine to mean that on the leg extension, for example, at the beginning of the motion, 55 pounds on the weight stack might be I don't know, 75 pounds of resistance or something like that. I'm just picking numbers to show you that it's not always 55 pounds. And then as you cruise up and around the motion, that 75 goes to 70, 65, 55, all the way down. And then it might even be less than what it says on the weight stack, and it often is based on the pulleys and the belts and the cams and the angles and the counterweights and all the different things inside of the machines. So a good machine is either designed to or modified to have a resistance profile in terms of how much resistance is actually applied to you, match or at least go in the same direction as your strength profile, how much weight you can move in that position and how much force you can generate. So in a leg extension, for example, if I could maximally move, let's call it 100 pounds in this position, I might only be able to move like 25 pounds in this position or 30 pounds or something like that. So the good machine, like the ones that I have here, are modified to drop off the resistance as you get into that part where you're weaker. Now what often happens is people are used to doing a leg extension where it's hard at the bottom and it gets even harder at the top. So the only way to get through that place where the resistance profile is not appropriate to your strength profile is to move fast and to effectively lessen the load so you can toss it through that part of the motion and complete a full range of motion. So on a lot of these machines, you may have a little file in your head of, ooh, leg extension. This is always really tough to move beyond here, so I'm just going to launch it. However, because these are modified to be more appropriate in terms of the resistance profiles, if you toss it through that part of the motion that you expect to be heavy, but it gets really light, you're doing absolutely nothing. So if you really go slowly and controlledly through that movement, you'll be able to feel it's getting tough, it's getting tough. Ooh, I can actually start to move that still. Ooh, I can still move it. Ooh, that feels kind of nice. I can actually get my leg all the way up here, and the same thing on the way down. So when we have a resistance profile that is more accurate in matching our strength profile, it's even more important to go nice and slow so that you're not just thinking, wow, it gets really easy up here because I'm moving fast. You're thinking, I'm moving nice and slow and it gets just easy enough to where I can complete that rep with challenge still on the muscles during the end of that rep. That's another reason, among all the other reasons, that we want to move slow. These are just some of the reasons that we want to go nice and slow on all of our repetitions in here. One of the primary reasons that I haven't touched on yet, that should be one of the most obvious, is your safety. And I say go slow, not just to protect me, but to protect you. Because if you're going really fast and launching stuff back and forth, all of a sudden you're at the end of the set and you're dropping something towards the bottom of the motion and you're going drop, launch. And when you drop, you know what takes most of that increased load at the end of the motion? Your joints. And we do not want your joints to be taking the burden of these exercises. The whole point, again, is to challenge the musculature to move your joints around, not to require your joints and ligaments to catch the tension that you are irresponsibly dropping and not actually controlling with the muscles that we're trying to challenge. And if I seem a little bit ticked off in this video, it's because, guess what? I am, because I've said over and over and over and over again to people when you come in here to use these machines, slow tempo. Everybody says, totally got it, I'll go nice and slow. The first goddamn workout that they come in here and do on their own, I'm sitting in my office working on somebody, and all I see is tossing stuff back and forth and launching this over here and going like this, and then people get up and say, oh, why does my back feel weird? Maybe because you weren't using your muscles to move like you're supposed to. So if it seems like I'm a little bit annoyed, it's because I am. All that I ask is that you follow my instructions and you go nice and slow. And again, to reiterate what red light, green light tempo means, if I'm playing red light, green light with you, and you're moving through this motion, let's call it a dumbbell bicep curl, and I say red light and you can't stop within this much of me saying red light, it's too fast. Unless I've told you something specifically where I want you to move faster, like on the hammer twists or something like that, maybe some of the air machines at some point because there's no inertia involved with those. But even when there's no inertia involved with them, and it makes it safer for you to accelerate it because we don't have the inertial effects of increased load when we try to accelerate something and then no resistance all the way through. When you go fast, you still can't focus on the muscles that you're using, and that is the whole point, is to focus on which muscles am I using to move my bones around these arcs that happen to be attached to a machine, that happens to be attached to resistance, that's challenging me to move that way. So when you go fast, even on the air machines, you can get away with it, it's a little bit safer, but you're gonna tell me you can focus truly on what my pecs are doing if you go like this? There is zero chance. If I can't do it, there's absolutely no chance that you can do it. So moving nice and slow is required to focus on contraction. What's my intention? What direction am I trying to push? Am I moving around the arcs? Am I doing all of the things that we've gone over as being really important? One of the most important things to allow you to even have a chance to focus on that stuff is that you move slow. So, pretty please, with a fucking cherry on top, move slower.